Hey, it's Sammy for another episode of the IdOMUSIC podcast, and our goal and our mission is to empower and educate musicians and artists worldwide. And on today's episode, we sat down with producer Mark Byrd discussing the duality of growing up in the streets of Chicago and being a part of the Chicago Youth Orchestra, working with Kanye West and Dr. Dre, and his advice to young producers. Hey, it's Sammy for another episode of the IdOMUSIC podcast, and I'm sitting down with writer, producer, DJ, artist, Mark Byrd. How you feeling?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Got you up a little early today?
No, not really. I'm usually up. This is the earliest I really come out the house. I don't come out until after my workouts, but
thank you for blessing us with your presence this morning. So first question I always like to ask is just to tell us where you're from. What's the background?
Born in Chicago, raised in Chicago, moved around a lot because I was a troublemaker. So I picked up a lot. I was here, in Augusta for high school.
Oh, wow.
Left there, went to Baltimore for like 3 years.
Baltimore? Yeah. When you trying to stay away from trouble?
Yeah. It progressively followed me.
Got you.
So it moved me around, and then I went back to Chicago. And after Chicago, I came to Atlanta, and I've been in Atlanta for like 7 years off and on.
Okay. So I was watching, a few videos and like past interviews of you. So I found out or discovered that you were an artist first, and that your uncle actually introduced you to music. So tell us about that.
Y'all do y'all research. Yeah. He was an artist and a producer. So he's the first person to ever I used to stay with my grandma at one point, and he stayed there. And in his room, he had like Technique 1200s. He would always bring drum machines and keyboards home. So whenever he would leave, I'd go sneak in the room, learn how to make beats, learn how to rap, mimicking LL Cool J. And one day he came in, and I was in there just rapping in the mirror with his gold rope chain on. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm taking you to the studio." And I went to the studio. I had to be like all of 8. It was trash. I'm an 8-year-old kid. I can't sit still. I want to go outside and play with my friends. This dude had me in the studio at like 2 in the morning.
Shut up.
It was my punishment.
So where did that lead you at that point? Like at 8 years old, being in the studio till 2 in the morning, where other kids are like doing probably other things, like playing outside and like hanging out with each other. What would you say about that point in your life that like kind of introduced you to music? How it's helped you now?
That's when I really fell in love with music, just being around it in that atmosphere. So everything after that became music subconsciously. So because of that, I would be rapping all the time. Like I'd be with my friends and just walk down the street busting freestyles, and they just be like, "Dude, shut up." I'm like, "Nah, bro, I don't understand." What ended up being crazy is like not realizing it then, but when I got older, I remember they had a show with the Beastie Boys. They opened up for the Beastie Boys.
I saw that too.
And they brought me out and let me rap at the show. What? So I didn't realize then how huge it was.
Do you remember what you rapped?
Yeah, this was the only rap I had for like 3 years.
What was it?
Not doing it.
What? Come on. Give us the
exclusive.
exclusive.
It was trash.
What was it about?
It was about kid stuff like cereal, sneakers, and rapping. It was like I never rapped about anything I didn't do.
Right.
So it was really kiddie.
Got you.
So
I mean, okay, so fast forward, and I mean, obviously you're not necessarily the artist now. You're not making music for yourself, but you are Grammy Nominated producer, writer, worked with some very big artists, from Kanye to Sarha to, I mean, the list goes on. I saw Kiki was on there, and I mean, you can go into it because I definitely didn't write them down, but I know that there are plenty of listed credits, and I'm sure if you guys just like look online, you'll see Mark Byrd. But how did it? What was it for you that was like, I don't want to be the artist? Like I think I'm gonna step into a different space.
The first placement was the Twister placement, and that was like, that's what took me out of being an artist. It started with, I think we had a record, and we wanted to get him on the record.
Who's we?
Me, I had a team at the time, the freshmen. Mm-hmm. Shout out to my brothers, Mac, Jay, E. We still real tight. still family. We still talk every day, work together, everything. But I had this record and we wanted to get him on it, so he sent it to somebody that knew him.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up wanting to keep the record, and we was just like, all right, cool, take the verses off, keep the hook. And then when he went to work on his album, they hit us and was like, yo, can y'all do more of those joints with the beats and the hooks? And then it was just like light bulb. Like, yo, we should go in here and take every one of the songs that we didn't release, take all the verses off, leave the hooks, and send them out. We sent a bunch. I think we sent like 10 over, and 3 made it.
That's what's up.
So at that point, we were like, you know what?
I think we're on to something.
We got something here. Let's go do this. And then, too, being a producer is so much more fun, because as an artist, you really have to be just your personality, who you are. As a producer, I get to be anybody I'm working for.
A little chameleon.
Yeah, so it's challenging and it's fun.
So tell me more about the production team, the Freshmen. So were y'all a group? Like, because you said that y'all had like records.
Yeah, so how it started is like I met these dudes at work. We all had jobs.
Like 9 to 5s?
Yeah. So I met them at work, and we ended up starting to do music together. At that time, I was still a solo artist, and my other guy, Penn, shout out to Penn Jammin', he was a solo artist, and my man Mac and Jay, who are in the Freshmen, they were brothers, and they had a group. So we was like, yo, we should just be one big team. So it's like whenever Penn had shows, we would all show up. Whenever I had shows, they would all show up, and vice versa. So my man Jay decided to drop out and just engineer. He's like, all I want to do is engineer and mix. That left Mac kind of just like floating.
Right.
So me and Mac started doing a bunch of songs together, and we had a whole little situation, and then we ended up doing a song with my homie Penn, and then we was like, you know what, this dynamic works. So then we made a group out of us 3 called Project Fresh, and in turn, everybody else that was like on the team that didn't rap became the Freshmen, and like the Freshmen and the Fresh Girls. And once we started to produce full time, we just kept that name, the Freshmen, and ran with that.
Dope. That's dope. So why, I mean, you kind of told me why music production, it happened for you with the twisted placement, but like ultimately, and of course being able to be versatile and do different things, but ultimately, like what brings you happiness in life? Like what is it, what's your why for what you're doing?
Whew. That's a good question. I never been asked that one before. It's a bunch of different whys. Ultimately,
We got time.
being able to provide for my people by doing something I love is a huge why. The example of I'm a father, so me being able to tell my children that they can do anything, and I'm doing something I hate. It don't work that way.
Right.
So for me to be able to do it my way and show them you can really do it your way, you know, that's another thing. And it's just the freedom. The freedom of doing exactly what you love to do. There's nothing greater than the freedom. Like, even when I made the transition from 9 to 5 to full-time doing music, it was the biggest struggle.
What were you doing 9 to 5? What was the job
What
like?
didn't I do is the question. I was a security guard. I think my last 9 to 5, it was crazy. I was working for Google randomly. Yeah, had the certified company email and everything. It was dope because it was like I got crazy discounts. Right. I got paid like $22 an hour to go to work in sweatpants.
Really?
And sit in front of a laptop. Yeah, I didn't have to do nothing. And it was like I was there, and it was a plush job for, you know, if you are into that.
Right.
It was the most miserable time in my life, though. I think I quit after like maybe like 6 weeks.
Wow.
It's like I'm out. I had a moment in my car, and it was like I started having anxiety attacks. I never had an anxiety attack. I didn't even know what was going on. I went and sat in my car one day for like 2 hours. That's how dope the job was. Nobody knew I was gone. I was just in the car. I went through every human emotion. I prayed, I laughed, I cried, I cursed at God. I apologized for cursing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was given instructions to, you know, prepare myself for the hardest times of my life, but see it through because it was worth it. I walked in, I thanked them for the job opportunity, and I left. Never looked back. Oh, I was fine until I got on the freeway, and I'm like, "What did I just do?" Like, bro, I got bills. I'm a dad. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I seen the worst times of my life too.
I'm sure that propelled you to like really go get it though, because I mean, at that point, it's like
It is so much happened in just. It was like a 2-month period. I lost everything from my car being repoed to like borderline being homeless. The story I had the story posted on IG. I think I took it down, but I quit the job in like November of 2015 actually.
oh wow.
I went through it all, and of course I was still DJing for Saha at the time when we had shows. And I remember seeing the LA date. So I was like, okay, January, I was like, okay, we got like 5 shows. I'm going to pay my bills with the January. Yeah, I'm straight for January. I don't know how I'm going to get my car back, but at least I could pay.
You got something in order.
But I also knew, I looked at that date and I told myself then, I was like, man, either Ye is coming to the show or we're going to the studio with him. Either way, I need to be prepared. And I stayed in the house. Like, I didn't come out other than the shows except to run. And I stayed in the house and I made beats. And I was like, I don't want to go unless I have 50 records that I'm confident in playing. So I just kept working. And then I went. And that ended up being the week and some change I stayed to work on The Life of Pablo.
Wow.
So that happened like a little bit after. And even after that, like, it was still a struggle.
Of course.
Then it was like, I want to say, after that happened, I came back home. I had a daddy-daughter dance. Still didn't have no funds. So I had to pawn all of my equipment.
Wow.
Just to be able to get my daughter her dress and take her to the dance. So I did all of that. Now, mind you, we didn't know that we were going to be on The Life of Pablo. We was just there. It was just like, we just happy to be here.
Right.
And on the way back from that weekend, daddy-daughter weekend was crazy because it was my mom's birthday too. So on the way back from that, I'm in the car with my homeboy. We coming back from Chicago, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, yeah, I got $25 in my name and no equipment, and I got to give him $20 for gas. So I got $5 to eat with. What am I doing? And then my partner 3D texted me and was like, congrats. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I swiped the text open, and it was the screenshot of the Pablo credits, and my name was in it. And I was like, oh. Okay, I see you, Jesus.
Right, listen.
Good looks, homie.
Listen,
So,
stay down.
Ever since then, like, life has not been the same since then.
Wow. And that's 2016?
Yeah, 2016. So all of this is like relatively,
years,
it's like it's relatively.
I mean, because nobody would know that.
It was like relatively recent.
Wow.
Like, people would see me on panels. I was like Batman. I'd be at a panel like, hey, guys, be in the studio. Oh, next morning I'm at work like, I hate this job, bro. Serious.
Well, I'm happy to be able to hear the journey because there's so many people that are listening to this podcast right now that are in that place where you were in 2014, 2015, like, dog, I don't know what, you know what I mean?
2015 was possibly the greatest and worst year of my life all in the same. My car got stole, one car got repoed, I got laid off of a job, was supposed to get a huge severance pay. They taxed my check by 45%. It was like, I'm like, what the hell? All of this
45%?
All this is like 1 year. I'm like, bro, what is going on? They stole my car like the day before my birthday.
That's wild. Like, but you know what they say, you know, like when so many things happen, and obviously you're a spiritual person, but like when so many things happen, then your blessing's on the way. So I'm happy that you're receiving it, and it won't stop. And we won't stop struggling either, you know? Like, talk about the period of like, when you face a challenge. I think I actually wrote this down. Like, we've all faced those challenges and struggles along the way, but how do you overcome those challenging times? Like, what was it for you? Maybe it was the praying. Maybe it was, like, what was it for you that said, okay, I got $5, but I'm going to be okay? Like,
I learned, okay, there was a period when, before all of this, when we, the freshmen, because we all moved here from Chicago.
Oh, okay.
So there was a period where we were working and working and working, and just, it was like we felt like we were hamsters just chasing the wheel. Nothing was working out, and somebody suggested fasting.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's not what you pray, it's how you pray.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a 22-day fast, fruits, vegetables, water only, no social media, no like television or anything before 7 p.m., like
Strict,
30 minutes of
strict,
meditation every day.
That's
And
what's up.
during this fast, it was like I had to ask for what I really wanted. So I asked God at that point, like, if this is for me, you have to show me. Like, I don't need a little pebble. I need, like, smack in the face sign. Like, you
Right.
got to show me this. Because right now, I don't believe anything. I lost all faith, like everything. I didn't believe in anything. And it was terrible. And during the fast, I'm at a spot grabbing some food. One of my homies hit me. It was like, yo, I just heard this joint that y'all did on the radio. And I'm like, no, you didn't, because I don't have it. Like, what are you talking about? You heard it. So then it was like, all right, let me break and go look at social media. And I looked at social media, and it was like tweets. And I'm
Wow.
like, what? My mom called. It was like, didn't you have a record with that boy Jeremiah? And I'm like, yeah. She was like,
boy, Jeremiah.
I think it's y'all record on the radio. And I'm like, I don't know, because I have not heard the song in full. Like, I was there when he recorded it, but I just didn't hear the mix and mastering or whatever. So I'm looking at all the tweets, and I'm like, this can't really be happening. And I rush home. I get on like all of the blogs, and the song was everywhere.
Wow.
They started bombing it on radio. DJs from the Chicago radio played it like 5, 6, 7 times in a row.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, there's the sign.
Right.
So once I got the sign, I knew that no matter how hard it got, I had to stay with it. So I say all that to say this, like, when you know that something is for you, no matter the struggle, you stay at it, because you're going to get what you're supposed to get from it. There's a Bible scripture that I quote during every rough time, and it's like my daily reminder to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Romans 12:12. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the every day, joyful, hopeful. When it's tough, patient.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be faithful in your prayer. When you send that prayer up, you got to know that it's gonna
happen.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's the walk.
I love that. We need that right there, that clip. That's what I need. So you're the official tour DJ for Sci-Hi, but you never really intended on being his tour DJ. So let's talk about it. Which obviously we talked about, it led to your songwriting credit for The Life of Pablo by Kanye West. But how did you end up in this situation? Because you just said that you're about to go to Tampa, so this is like an ongoing thing.
Yeah, we've been doing this since like.
Did you DJ prior to that?
No.
What?
No. I ain't know nothing. I'm like, what?
do you mean?
Okay, so he was working on an album at one point, and I had just started working with him. Realistically, I think, maybe like February of that year.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would send beats, pull up to the studio, kick it. So he was working heavy on this album, and here's a jewel: the importance of being in the room. So I would go to the studio every day, even though I only had one record on the album and my song was done. I was there every day still, because you never know.
True.
So being there every day, that one particular album went from having one record to 5 records.
Oh, wow.
But then we ended up having to scrap the album. But we'll get back to that.
Yeah.
But so one day I'm there, and his other DJ was also a producer.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess he had a show and he couldn't make it or whatever. So Sci-Hi's logic is Bird's a producer. He was a producer. Bird can DJ. Hey, Bird, can you DJ the show? Huh? What? I don't want to commit to this and I mess it up.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, what do we do? So I go to the practice. We did like a quick rehearsal. I nailed it. And he was like, all right, cool. Go give such and such your info. And I'm like, for what? He's like, yeah, we flying out on. I'm like, where are we going? It's like Salt Lake City. What? You got a show in Utah? People know you there? It was like, more importantly, it's black people in Utah.
Right, facts.
So we do the show. It was like crazy. The chemistry was there from like jump. I don't get it. I don't even understand it. It's just when certain people, it just works.
It happens.
So I did one show, then I got called for a couple more shows, and then it just, all right, cool. It's like, it was an unspoken thing. It was just like, yo, got a show. All right, cool, I'll be there. And that was it.
So, like, I mean, what did you gain from that experience? It seems like you had to step outside of your comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah, it taught me. Actually, what did I gain? I just gained traveling. I started to pay a lot of attention to how music affects people more than I already did. So that also went into my production. So like going to shows and seeing 5,000 people rock with you, okay, they like this drop. They're waiting on this song. That song made them feel this. Okay, let me go put all of that into the music. Okay, we need to drop it right here because this is what the crowd is going to want. It gave me, like, it started to really help my song structure.
Absolutely.
And the way I view songs, even down to the way I produce. Like, seeing the crowd is like, okay, we don't need all of that. Take all that out. Just keep those instruments because they going to do the work with you. Yeah.
Absolutely. You, like, being able to pretty much do, like, market research.
Yeah, that's really what I was doing. I was like, okay, that song doesn't work. We're not performing this anymore.
Period. So let's change the list. Okay, so, I mean, I guess I was asking about stepping outside of your comfort zone because most producers, they like to be, behind the scenes. Like, I know now in 2018, a lot of people are like, okay, we have to promote ourselves on social media, that sort of thing. But being a DJ, a tour DJ at that, you were like you're helping it move. You're helping the show move, essentially, aside from the artists doing their thing. So, like,
I don't think it was uncomfortable because I was an artist first.
Oh, true. I'm tripping.
So me being on the stage is like, okay,
I've done this. I mean, I was performing with the Beastie Boys.
I can control the crowd. It's like now I get to control them with what I want to control it with versus
that's true.
I have a lot of different tools, but it's like it was kind of weird. I want to say the first tour we did was us and Wayne, and it was like we were the opener, and I would come out and do a 10-minute set just to warm the crowd and acclimate the crowd to our type of music.
Right.
I set the vibe for what we were about to do. So that part is nerve-wracking. Like when you go on stage and there's like 8,000 people, but they're there to see Wayne.
Right.
And it's like, how do you make them like you?
Right.
And it's like, I'm the first person they see. So it's like, they don't even see him for like 15 minutes. I'm like, this is... I walk on stage, everyone's like, yeah! I'm like, you do know I'm not Wayne's DJ, right? All right, just...
That's funny.
That part was nervous. It's like, okay.
So do you think you are where you're supposed to be?
I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be for the moment. I feel like there's no coincidence in the place that you're supposed to be in. There's no coincidence in the people that you meet. Everything was written before we were. So... This even doing this podcast was already shaped out. It was carved out a long time ago.
That's true.
So
with the many credits you've received over the years, you've had 15 years in the business. Even though
it's been that long?
It's been 15 years. I mean, if you want to go back to when you were 8 years old, like...
Oh, yeah. I definitely put my 10,000 hours in.
You put your hours in. So, You've received credits over the years, but I wanted to ask, like, what was one of your favorite projects to work on to date?
To date? Ooh, there's a lot.
Well, just think of one that was just like, I remember, maybe it was a cool story to how it happened. Of course, we heard a little bit about how Kanye happened.
That was one of my favorites, hands down.
So you were in the studio with Kanye?
Yeah, it was crazy. That was
Were you, like, kind of whoa, like taken aback, or was it like
Nah,
I knew,
I had
I'm
met
supposed
him
to be here?
before.
Oh, okay,
I had met him like twice before.
true.
So, and then too, like it was like at least 3 to 4 people from his team that I knew back from Chicago.
Right.
So it was weird because I was like the new face. So it's like walking through the hall and it was like everybody looking like, who's the new nigga?
Right.
And then like I would see somebody, it's like, yo, like, oh my God.
Perfect.
I'll cite 2 projects. I'll cite The Life of Pablo because that's the project when everybody understood it. It's like, oh, so that's what all the sacrificing. Even my mom, she called me, and she supported it and she believed in me, but she didn't quite get it until then, and it was just like, wow. So it takes all of that to get to that moment, and I'm like, yeah. And I remember when the Grammys. The nomination happened. I was gonna go to the award show, and I remember I was in Chicago, but I think I was out running, and I thought about it, and I texted my mom, and I was like, "Yo, you want to be my date to the awards if I go?" And so for me to give my mom that moment, that understanding moment, I would cite The Life of Pablo as like one of my favorites. But as far as like creatively, No Dope on Sundays, Saha's album, because we were like,
fire.
Appreciate it. We were all in on that album. Like it was like I was there from the very first record to turning in the mix. Like had hands in every song. We were there. Like we really built that album. So that's one project I look at and I'm just like totally proud of. Like man, like. Yeah, we put our foot in this joint. Like we went in on this.
Yeah, I love it. It's a great project. So let me ask you, because I wanted to ask you that as well. Being nominated for your first Grammy, was it The Life of Pablo?
Yeah.
Describe the feeling of just knowing that you were nominated for a Grammy. Like, what was that? Like, what was it? What was it?
You know what? And this is me being totally honest. I don't think any of it has sank in yet.
Yeah.
Because it's like when it happened, I was like, yo, that's great. How do I make sure I go every year now?
True.
Okay, now I gotta work.
Yeah.
It's like it's a gift. It's a gift and a curse for me. Because it's like you look at my career and it's like I seemingly skip steps. It's like, okay, you look at some people and it's like, okay, they have 50, 60, 70 placements, and then they get to the unicorn. It's like, I put up 10, and then I jump to the unicorn. It's like, and then you stop and you look at it, and it's like, yo, I've worked with one of the biggest artists in the world. Where do I go from here?
Right.
It's like now you have to, like for me, I sat back and I had to list the unicorns. It's like, Doug, it's realistically only 5 other people that can, like, even in this same realm. So what do you do after that? It's like, okay, you build a legacy. So until I reach the unicorns, I build my legacy. I put people in front of me. I make people better than me. I build something.
So
I didn't even, like, I was elated to send my mom that text, but it didn't register because I didn't win. So I'm still hustling like that never happened. I'm still working like that never happened.
Absolutely. As you should. Even if you did win, and
I'm still working like I know. Yeah, I'm like, I need another one. I got to put one in everybody's house.
Facts.
Is that you?
I was watching, whose interview was that? I'm sure Anthony knows. Damn it, I can't remember right now. Oh, Robert Glasper. And he was talking about how he gifted.
Oh, yeah, that was dope. Yeah, I watched that.
I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Okay, but so I saw something or like a video where you guys were, the freshmen, I'm referring to the freshmen, were referring to like who inspires you. And your answer was?
Marvin Gaye. Was it?
I think it was Kanye.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of the production.
Yeah, the way he's what we call a genre crasher. That was our term for ourselves as well, genre crashers.
What does that mean?
You just take in like you just fuse stuff that seemingly won't match. It's
Right.
like you think about how he took hip hop, blended it with electro, and then threw splashes of opera in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what? If you read it, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
But if you do it right,
it does.
so he's a genre crasher. So
I really pointed that out, that you were inspired by him, because it's like, fast forward and you end up working with him and meeting him 3 times over. So
Yeah.
it's kind of just
kinda
interesting and cool, like how you pretty much manifest things in your life,
You know what? Funny thing, this is crazy. So prior to working a Google job, I remember I had this other little gig, and I was there for maybe a month. I remember quitting the job because they didn't want to give me off, and I had panels for A3C. So I was like, I'm leaving. Going to do these panels. So I remember becoming cool with a few of my coworkers. Man, if I'm lying, I'm flying. And I remember telling them, man, once I leave these jobs, I'm going to work with Kanye West and Dr. Dre. And The Life of Pablo happened, and I want to say maybe 4 or 5 weeks after that, I met Dre.
Wow.
And that started the Mark Byrd and Dr. Dre relationship. So it's like, I called it. It's like, that's it.
You actually told us something very interesting about something that Dre always says in terms of the signings, because we were talking about how we can't hear anymore, being next to speakers at concerts and just doing that sort of thing. What's one of the biggest things you learned from, just building this relationship with Dre?
Man, it's like every conversation or something.
It's impactful.
Yeah. It's the music is supposed to be felt, not heard. So that is the biggest thing about it. Is man, don't stop working, and the record ain't done until you feel something. Mm-hmm. And that's just what it is. It's even watching the way he works and watching the way his team is. It's one of the most beautiful processes ever. And I felt so man, finally people understand what I get, because my favorite artists always had a feeling in their music. Mm-hmm. It's man, you felt it. It wasn't
Your favorite artist is Marvin Gaye?
Yeah, hands down. So when Marvin, prime example is Heard It Through the Grapevine. When you hear that record, you're like, I feel it. Mm-hmm. What's crazy was a remake. His version just sounded so much greater, is because he was actually going through what the song was about. He thought his wife was cheating on him. So that's why he sang it with such conviction. And you felt it. That is okay, cool. So it's when I make records, I'm not making stuff that sounds good. I'm making stuff for a feeling.
Right.
Okay, this is what I felt when I made it, and this is why I made it.
Facts.
So, yeah.
That's dope. Oh, man. Why are you the person for the job? Why do people come to Mark Byrd?
Man, I don't think I can answer that. I think that's for the people to answer.
You could assume why people would choose you over anybody else beat. You know what I mean? If you have particular people that reach out to you, why are they obviously we see the credits and we know and we hear the music, we hear the production, or we might hear the hook, but why would Twisted keep saying I need y'all to send me those hooks and those beats?
Possibly the energy that we put into the music. Transfer of energy. It's when you really love what you do and you put that same love into the music, and not only to the music, you put that same love and energy into the room. Mm-hmm. It's just you have to add value to the room. So if I could guess anything, it would be because I bring a certain value to the room. It's even if I'm not doing anything on the record, the presence of me being there, the fun, the energy, the vision, all of that goes into it. So if I had to choose anything, I would say that. I've heard that I'm one of the people that people just like to have in a room because it's just
A good
it's
energy.
energy.
Absolutely.
And that's everything though. That's like nobody care how good you are. If you're not likable, we don't care.
Right.
We don't even want you here.
Right.
Send it. Well, you don't have to come. Just send it. We're fine.
That's real though. Nobody want to be around like
Nobody want to be around that. I was like, ew.
So explain. You've said this in a video or something that I was watching. I don't know, but explain childlike faith.
Oh yeah.
Like
Shout out to Henny. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was a Henny interview. And what that means to making like even your wildest dreams come true. Because I mean, when people talk about dreams coming true, like dreams are not necessarily reality anyway. So obviously they're going to be wild. But like, what is a childlike faith, and how has that helped you?
Childlike faith is like simply believing that anything is possible.
What you teach your kids.
Like what? If they say that faith the size of a mustard seed can move a mountain, what can you move if you just believe wholeheartedly? Anything. You can do anything. So it's so many layers and depths to that, just like you can think of it in this perspective. If there's no ideas original, right? So that means if you think about something, no matter what it is, it's happened somewhere. So you be like, yo, I think I can fly. You didn't get that notion from anywhere. That means it's happened at some point, somewhere. Somebody flew. So if they did it, oh, bro, I can do it. So childlike faith is really that, just believing that anything is possible. It's like when you go through life, we get railroaded so much and we stop believing that. And that's what I was saying in the interview. If you just like go to like a daycare and you watch little kids playing, they believe anything. There's dinosaurs, there's everything happening in this little room. It's like there's one kid in there with a Spider-Man mask on, and you can't tell him that he's not Spider-Man.
Facts.
He just believes it. And that level of faith allows you to do anything because you believe it.
Facts.
Man, the power of the mind is powerful. When you will it to yourself, it's like, man, when I stop saying what if and not what if, when. So that opened up so many doors of everything. It's like, okay, cool. A Grammy nomination. One of my favorites got 22. I can get 25. I believe it. Let's just get to work. And it's like, there's no doubt in my mind that I'll have that one day. Not one doubt. Like, okay, it didn't happen when I wanted it to happen, but again, going back to what we were saying, you're in a perfect position for everything that you want to happen.
Right.
You just have to believe it.
Absolutely. What would you say are a few things artists or just creatives in general should have to thrive in this business? Like in terms of skill or just like obviously like having the faith and things we've already talked about, but what are some things that you have to thrive in this music entertainment business?
Business sense, first and foremost. It's business sense, business savvy, know how to handle business. Personality is everything. Have to be very likable because, again, nobody wants to work with the asshole. Like, if you're that person, we don't really care how good you are. Your energy is trash. We don't even want it. We good. Music theory. At least understand what you're doing. Music theory.
Do you think that's lost?
I don't think theory is lost so much. I think I'll say in urban music mainly, I feel like respect and homage is lost. In urban music, we don't appreciate who came before us and why they came before us and even what they done to get us here. History, knowing your history, like, don't just jump in. Like, it's so funny that we always look at other races as culture vultures when a lot of us are the biggest culture vultures because we just jump in it for the money, not even knowing the culture, not knowing what it means, not knowing who paved the way, not knowing why hip-hop is hip-hop. not even knowing what is hip hop at the end of the day. People think it's a form of music. Nah, this is a culture. It's a lifestyle. It's like everything you do is hip hop. So it's just like, I feel like you really have to know your history, know the music theory, have great personality, be business savvy, and be you. Just be you. We don't want another. We don't want another anything. Just be you. Everybody wants something new. You have to remember, man, a lot of these people don't know what they want until they get it.
Facts. So I noticed you offer consultations on your site, and you've interviewed with a few platforms, one of which we mentioned with Henny in the past. How important is sharing this knowledge and like with other up-and-coming producers or writer, anybody who aspires to be in a situation like this, or, you know, who's, like I said before, a lot of people who listen to this podcast are like on the brink of like, you know what, really just about to go get a job. I'm tired of this. Like, I can't anymore. So why is it like an important space for you to do things like this, or do things like a panel, literally miss or have to quit your job because they won't let you take off? But it was so important to you to not only be there and say, you know, I'm Mark Byrd, but to also help other people. Why is that important?
It's important because I feel like that's how everything in the world gets better. This is like, if we're making music and I don't give people the tools and the information or even the motivation to be better, what happens to music if I'm the best person around?
True.
It's going to get stuck at some point. Even with people, like, how do we as people get better if those before us didn't give us the tools, the instructions, and the motivation and the inspiration to be better than them? It's like, you know, everybody I come in contact with, I don't want to be the best. I just want to do what I do. So let me get what I'm supposed to get, what I deserve, what I done prayed for. I'm out your way. Now, that kid over there, oh, he's special. He's going to be better than me. Let me go tell him he's going to be better than me. I want him to get this early before he even fathoms being better than me. Let me instill that in him now. Let me give you this information. All the stuff that I learned that I had to go the hard route to learn, let me tell you now so you won't have to lose the same amount of years and time that I lost going for this. So you'll already be prepared for this game. So you can just jump in here, flourish, and do the same thing that I did. And keep it going, keep the cycle of life, keep the cycle of music getting better. Absolutely. That's what it's about for me. And it's like, when people say you dictate your own successes and wins, man, I've had people hop in my DMs and tell me I'm the reason they kept going. The awards is cool, the Grammys are cool, the plaques are cool, I already won. I did it. I got what I was supposed to get. My nephew decided to make his career path music because he saw me doing it. I won at life. I'm good. Let me make him better than me. I don't care if I get another check placement, whatever. Let me make my nephew the greatest that he can be. I won. I'm straight.
So I want to go back to the fact that you were talking about music theory. Did you ever play an instrument?
Yes.
What'd you play?
Don't laugh. I played the violin.
That's not funny.
In the Chicago Youth Orchestra.
What?
I used to wear a bow tie.
Yes. I always tell people on the podcast that I too played an instrument, not orchestra, but I played clarinet.
I was like the only kid from the projects there.
I bet. You couldn't walk home with the violin?
Nah, I used to walk home with it. Put that joint right up and get outside and start game banging. I'm sorry, Grandma. Lord Jesus.
You were living
my God.
a dual life.
Oh, yeah. It's like the duality of my life is unreal.
That's hilarious.
It's like, what? You started making music because what? Yeah, man.
The violin. So can people tell that you have this like, is it like do you use a lot of strings?
I have a love for strings.
Yeah.
Strings are emotional. They tell the story. So, yeah. It's like, I used to tell people, it's like if you listen to some of my music, that's why I manipulate strings so well. Because I know how it's supposed to sound. It's
orchestra in general is just like very hard.
Yeah. reading music
hard.
is like
Yeah.
the worst. I
love reading music.
I wish I'd have kept going just so I could have been greater at it.
Yeah.
But I still like even by me, I don't know how to play, but I still take the necessary steps to learn music theory. I have, the circle of fifths on the wall in the studio. I have a piano chart on the wall in the studio. I even have my keys labeled so I can just, okay, cool. I'm learning every day.
That's dope.
Teach myself every day.
That's dope. That gives me hope. Because there's a lot of producers doing things differently these days. That's what I'll say.
Some of the best producers cannot read music though,
and it's cool. You know what I mean? But I do like that some can, or that some can at least
just understand it
and understand it. That's the big thing. So I wanted to ask you, like, what's your process for? Like, you have to have a certain, like, space, energy. You got to be in the right mindset. Like, what's your process for producing or even writing? Like, what do you need?
Energy is everything. I have to be inspired. I think I do my best work when I have a goal. So, like, when I have a project or when I have, like, okay, we need records for XYZ, I do my best work then.
So you a lot of times produce for particular someone or project?
I prefer to, because it's just sitting down and creating. Sometimes it's just, what am I working towards? So you'll just be throwing all kind of stuff together and you're like, you don't know where to cap it. What am I doing? Mm-hmm. And then you end up with 500 beats that sound exactly the same. So somebody has to pick the best 2 out of those 500. It's like quality over quantity.
Absolutely.
For me, I just like to have a clear mind when I create. I like for my energy to be up. As far as like essentials, as long as I got my equipment, and I prefer that it's cold.
Cold in the room?
Yeah. I like to wear hoodies. I wear hoodies all year round. So as long as I can wear a hoodie in the room, you'll get me. You'll get the best of me. Yeah, it's like, okay.
Comfort. So, I mean, what equipment are you using? What equipment are the essentials for you? Lord.
It's a lot.
I know. What are like the you have to have? Oh, excuse me. Sorry. You have to have.
My have to haves is like super simple. It's just like, as long as I got my laptop, my machine, and my little Akai Mini keyboard. Shout out to my brother Dim Joints. We have dubbed the mini keyboards as baby nuts. As long as I got my machine, my laptop, and baby nuts, I'm good.
You stupid.
It was his idea.
I can't. Baby so, how has the industry changed since you first started? Is there anything that is like, do you see, let me ask, like, do you see a space of which, like, you feel there's a void now in comparison to the past? Or what is it?
Man, I just feel there's a void when it comes to, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it's not any out here, but it's not as prevalent as it was before when it comes to just emotion and feeling in music. I made this statement a while ago. It's like a lot of music sounds good, but it don't feel like anything. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's not like I have to go back to it.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, that was dope. Like, that was dope. Like, I like it. Mm-hmm. But do I need it?
Facts.
When I heard certain Stevie Wonder records or Luther Vandross records, it's like, I need that record in my life.
You still run it.
Yeah, and it's just, and that's what I feel. I just feel like it's a certain void for that. As far as hip hop, because I'm a hip hop advocate, I love hip hop. I just feel like we haven't had a true to life, hardcore hip hop album, like just rap, like just forget the gimmicks, forget the singing. We don't need the melody, bro. Just rap. We ain't had that in a long time. I feel like we need another to shake hip hop up. I feel like we need another, I don't want to say another, but we need something, a force like 50 Cent. Mm-hmm. We need a get rich or die trying force to happen. Mm-hmm. Now, I wouldn't want it to be I would honestly want it to be a Southern rapper, and I want it to be somebody young that just got this chip on his shoulder. It's just like, yo, move out my way, man. Like, y'all playing. Y'all had it long enough. Y'all playing. Move out my way. We need somebody just to come through and just bully it. Absolutely. We really do.
Absolutely.
Gotta shake it up.
That's coming for sure. And rapper music in general, and which you've kind of already covered, a lot of younger artists fail to study or acknowledge who came before them. This is something that I said or had in my mind initially before you even made that statement, which is ironic. But why do you think that is, and how significant has studying the greats for you? I mean, like being inspired by Marvin Gaye or Kanye or whoever else, Dr. Dre, how significant has that been in your walk through music? Because I want for other people to say, well, maybe I should just go back and study some people that I am inspired or influenced by. And I actually study it, you know what I mean?
You won't know how to break a ceiling unless you study the people that broke the ceiling.
True.
The people that set the bar, the people that set the record, the people that set the standard. Why would I study anything below the standard? Like, and the standards has still been set. Most of the people that I study are still arguably the greatest in their position 20, 30 years later. It's just like, I don't want to study nobody that was the greatest for 2 years and then we don't know who they are.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people that had #1 records over Nas and all of these guys. Where they at, though? So I feel like in order to really, like, propel yourself to that level, you have to study the people that went to that level and understand why they were so great.
Facts.
This is like, okay, that's what made them great. So this is what I have to do to be great.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what's funny is a lot of people. This is random. A lot of the now kids were studying the Migos, and the Migos became their ceiling. But if I'm not mistaken, I seen an interview, and they were talking about like Raekwon and Ghostface were their favorite rappers. So why wouldn't you go study Ray and Ghost too? Don't stop studying the Migos, but go study Ray and Ghost too. And if you really listen to the Migos, you can tell that they're rap fans because they can rap. They cold. I ain't even gonna front.
Yeah,
like
no,
they
definitely
hard.
can rap.
I heard this record the other day with Yachty, Cardi B, and Offset. Offset bodied that record so hard, I ran that thing back about 10 times to hear his verse. Like, bro, like, thank you. Thank you for rapping.
Yeah, their evolution has been great, and to know that they did study, I think I found a new level of respect when I did know that. Not to say that I didn't feel or hear, some things, but it became a lot of times the music becomes redundant, so you don't even, you just like, oh, it's a Migos record, it's great. You know what I mean? Like, cool, I like it.
But then when you know that they studied Ray and Ghost and you remember Only Built for Cuban Links was one of those type of albums that if you knew about it, you knew about it. And they came up with so many different slangs and lingo. And when you listen to the Migos, they have their own slang, their own lingo.
Exactly.
You can see that that's the lineage and that's what it pulled. It's dope. It's really dope.
That's what's up. So I know I asked you like your process, but I wanted to know like, how do you approach music when you're writing for somebody else? Because to me, or if you're producing for somebody else, but like specifically if you're writing like lyrics, to me that seems very personal and almost intimate. That like, how do I write a Beyonce record if I'm not really like this is what I wrote? You know what I mean? If you're blessed to have the conversation, if you're blessed to have the conversation. True.
The conversation. Like, I'm a firm believer in if you just sending stuff, you can send the right record on the wrong day.
True.
You just don't, and you just never know what a person is feeling. So if you're blessed to have that conversation or blessed enough to have somebody close to that person where they can tell you.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. How do you even get these relationships with these mainstream or connections with mainstream artists? You
just meet people along the journey, and most of the time it goes back to personality. If they like to have you in the room, it's like, yo, you should meet my man. Do you know such and such? No. Hold on. Yo, this is whoop de whoop. Hey. It's like, holy shit, that was pretty dope. Like, I met personality and that gets you in the room. Like, my partner, he did the Fat Joe record, the All the Way Up record. My man, Exclusive. This is like the biggest record at the time. I'm walking in an event. Ed is there. My partner is standing with him. I'm walking right past. My man stopped me like, yo, Byrd, you know Ed? Ed, you know Byrd? Y'all should work. We talked, exchanged numbers. We were in the studio the very next day working on records.
Wow.
So this is like, that's how you get the connections. But as far as like approaching it, usually they'll tell you what the artist is looking for. But I listen to a degree, but I also approach it with, I'm a fan first. I'm about to give you what I want you to do.
Right.
Where I imagine seeing you is what I'm gonna send you.
Right.
It's just like, nah, I'm not even gonna, because half the time the A&Rs and the people, they be, whew, I can show you these emails. I favorited one. It was like, yeah, we need like a Rihanna, Pink, Lauryn Hill, Nicki Minaj type vibe.
What? What's that?
On one song? How does that work?
What?
Oh yeah, we gon'. You know what? We ain't even got that. We ain't got that one. Call us on your next project. We ain't even gonna try that one. What? Or we'll just send you, like, as an artist, as a producer and a writer, you have to be fast forward. You have to know where that artist is gonna go. Listen to their next project. Listen to their projects before, and you have to be scientific with predicting where they're gonna go, or even honestly steering them in that direction. Mm-hmm. You're not in that position by accident. Mm-hmm. So do what you do. Put you in that record too. But you have to just be mindful of who the artist is. And like for me, everything with me now is I'm not even in the space where I send records. If I'm not in the room with you, it's pointless for me. Because I'm about to be sitting in that crib trying to figure it out, chasing my tail. Nah, just put me on the phone, FaceTime me, or let's just meet. I'll sacrifice it. What? You want me to work with who? Okay, this is dope. I'm on the way. Like, just tell me when I need to be there. I'll pull up by myself. I'll fly on my own dime, put myself in my own hotel.
You gotta invest in yourself.
Sacrifice.
Yeah. Just
to make it. But if I'm in the room, that just makes it that much better.
Absolutely.
Because I ain't got to figure it out. You might be on this one vibe the whole time, and then this one day that I'm about to send records, something might have happened to piss you off, and you want a different type of record. And now I done sent the perfect record for you on the wrong day. But if I was in the room, I can channel that angry energy and make you the angry song. She done made the Starbucks coffee wrong, put your name wrong. Let's write about it.
Let's write about it.
Let's write about it.
That's dope. That was great advice, by the way. Just in terms of like predicting as a producer, I think that's where you should be thinking, even as a songwriter, just like in the future, because you're pretty much the steer or the captain of like where music can go.
You control it.
Yeah. So I think that's great advice. That's what I was gonna say. So you said that you pretty much run every morning?
Yeah, 5 days a week.
5 days a week. Why? Is it? I mean, obviously your health, but like it seems like there's a certain. And I've talked to a few other producers or just like people in the business who do something every day. It's like their ritual to success, I call it. But also just like fitness. There's something about fitness that's this sort of discipline about it, right? What is it for you that you get out of running? Even you saying like you called your mom during it. Like there's like some thought that goes into that.
I get a clear head. It's like, just purge yourself of everything. You get the endorphins going. Now you're just ready. You're ready for anything that happens now. It's just like warming up. Mm-hmm. The morning run is the warm up. And it's a great place to think. It's a great place to have business meetings with yourself. That's normally what I'll be doing. I was running, thinking of everything under the sun. And that's how I run 3-4 miles nonstop, because I'm just thinking like, yo, I need to do this. I should do this. This is a great idea. I need to go home and write all of this on the board. It's like, now you're halfway done with the run, and you got all the, now I got to hurry up and get home.
Hurry up.
And also for me, it's inspiring. when I run in the mornings, I see other runners. I see couples walking together, elderly people taking their fitness serious. See kids going to school, people going to work, animals. It's so hard to have a bad day after seeing that much life in action.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I just seen all this beautiful stuff, and I'm about to be mad?
Facts.
It's flowers. I smelled the flowers when I'm running.
It's flowers.
It's crazy. I be stopping playing with dogs. Like, I was a little pup. Like, I don't know
So
whose dog
like
this
you
is.
run through like a neighborhood, you run through a
Neighborhood,
community?
I go hit a track. Wherever I'm at, I'm running. Like, even if I'm in another city, like, all right, cool. Looks flat enough to run over here? I'm out.
I love it.
I be getting lost. Like, yo, I don't know where I turn. I'm so serious. Man, ask anybody that know me. We be on tour. Wake up, where Byrd? I come back to the bus all sweaty. Just ran. I'm like,
Just
what?
ran.
Do you know where you are? Nah. I got lost. I got lost the other day. I was running. I was running this park. And the first time I did this little loop, and I was like, okay, that's a mile. I was like, I could do it. Then I seen everybody going on this other trail, and I'm like, yo, where they going?
Where they going? Curious.
So I ran the trail. I got lost. I was like, well, I ended up by a baseball field. I'm like, bro. When I came out of it and got back to my car, it was like, okay, cool. It was a good 6 miles. I don't know where I was. All right, cool. We doing this again. We're going to take this turn again.
That's exciting.
Let's just go.
That's dope. I'm happy for you, and that level of discipline is also very admirable, because
trust me, it's not all fun and games every day.
like
Some days you just wake up
like,
I don't want to do this,
literally.
but I'm gonna do it.
Facts. So, what are you working on right now? Like, I know you mentioned an artist, but what are you working? What aren't you working on right now?
It immediately there is I'm about to drop a sample pack for producers. Purpose for doing this particular sample pack is I've invested a lot into analog synths, and everybody doesn't have that luxury to have these pieces of equipment.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm making a sample pack full of loops primarily focused on using analog synths, just so producers can have that true sound and grit in their arsenal. Here you go.
That's nice.
There was a project that I started doing that I just kept putting off, and I told myself this year, if I think it, I'm gonna just just go for it. There's a EDM trap inspired project. It's all instrumental. It's called Sirens and Lights.
Okay.
It is. I actually completed it. It is in being mastered. Artwork is already back, so that it will be dropping soon. I'm gonna just drop all kind of bombs on y'all show. Y'all getting the exclusive. I have a production company and team.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell us more.
God level. So we are actually working on our first artist, Dante Higgins. Shout out to Hig. He was just here working with us for a couple days. Went crazy with him.
You say he's from Houston.
Houston, yeah. Age time. Working on that. I want to tell y'all the other stuff that I'm working on, but I don't like to jinx it.
It's okay.
It's just like to let that brew, and then when you see, you'll see.
Yeah.
And, this is the first that I'm really mentioning this in the public forum.
Okay.
I went back to being an artist.
What?
So I have an EP.
Okay.
I got like one song left to finish.
You're itching.
Y'all gonna get it.
You had to get it out. What was it? Why'd you decide to do that? Like, what was the motivation?
I was in Chicago and I had a conversation with somebody in my life, and somebody that wasn't always around. So I got to have that conversation with that person. And the parallels of my life and their life were just so real.
Wow.
And like listening to them tell me their life story, and I'm just like, dog, that was me. And it all was centered around like the urban communities and the engineering of the urban community.
Mm-hmm.
So after that one conversation, I think like maybe in a week I had recorded like 5 records. I just went, and it was just everything was stemming from that conversation. And then when I played it for my best friend, he was like, "Yo, that's hard." It's like Reaganomics.
Wow.
That's the title of the project.
Really?
So it's basically everything that, from an urban point of view, being the kid that hustled and was into the gangs, I feel like I can explain it to people, whereas if you didn't do it or you looked at it and frowned upon it or didn't understand it, let me help you understand why it is the way it is.
Nice.
And I was just telling an artist this. It's like when it comes to music, everything's approach. You don't have to change the subject matter. Just change the approach. When Kurt Cobain talked about drugs, it was painful.
Mm-hmm.
It was artistic. People felt it.
Mm-hmm.
When our artists talk about it, it sounds like a party and celebrate it, so nobody thinks anything is wrong, so they don't feel anything for us.
Mm-hmm.
So let me change the approach of the drug dealer. Let me change the approach of the urban child and explain to you why it happens.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Reaganomics.
That's dope.
So that's
fire.
pretty much done. What else is on the horizon? Man, there's so much stuff I wish I could say, but
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see it. I just wanted to get a little, it's whatever you want to tell us. I'm down to hear.
There's some stuff happening. There's some stuff. It's about to get scary.
Let's get it, Mark Byrd. Any last words of advice for anybody listening to this podcast, if you just feel compelled?
Man, if you're listening to this and any of my journey applies to where you are, man, 2 things. Ask your creator, because I don't know anybody's belief. Ask your creator, what is your purpose? An invention can't tell you its purpose, but their creator can. And once you get that word on what your purpose is, follow it through no matter how hard it gets, because that is your purpose. It's your specific purpose. Nobody else's purpose is yours. Nobody else can write your story. It's about you. And that's that.
Great advice. I mean, listen, I learned a lot, so I'm sure they'll hear you for sure and feel. That's what I got out of the music part of this too. Just like being able to feel and not just hear it. Shout out to Dr. Dre. But listen, you got to tell them where they can find you on social media. And thank you again for sitting down with me. You're pretty active on Twitter, I saw.
Yeah, I tweet a lot?
In
Not
like
really.
August.
Yeah, I randomly. It depends on what I'm doing.
In August, rather.
It depends on what I'm doing. I'll tweet. I'm like, yo, I feel like tweeting today.
Yeah, it was like little spurts.
Other days I'll be like, nah, I don't feel like being on Twitter. Then I'll be looking at Instagram like, I ain't got that many cool pictures to post.
Literally, it's like, what do I post right now? Do I? Nothing.
But everything is I am Mark Byrd. It's Twitter, IG. I don't have a Facebook. I'm so easy to find because it's really the same thing everywhere. I am Mark Byrd, Twitter, Facebook. Twitter, IG. My website is IamMarkByrd.com. Everything is the same. It is what it is.
They'll be able to get the pack that you're on. The
pack is called Lord Forgive Me for My Synths.
The clever.
So I think.
Will that be on your website?
Yeah. It'll be on my site, as well as I'm in talks with MachineMasters.com and Sounds.com for releases too. So just follow me. It'll be promoted on every site that it's on.
Awesome. Yes. Dope. Thank you, Mark Byrd, so much for sitting down with us on the IdOMUSIC podcast. As always, you guys can find us on Instagram at IDM Podcast. as well as myself, Sammy, approved on all social media platforms. And, you know, I enjoyed talking to you. So,
Hey, it was a pleasure.
thank you so much.
Sonically superior.